Today I'm going to show you guys how I make malfouf, my favorite Middle Eastern dish, also known as stuffed cabbage. There's a lot of variations to this recipe, but this is how I make mine. The full recipe is going to be on Instagram because there's too many steps to actually highlight on TikTok. So right here I cored a cabbage. I'm going to boil it until the outside layers start to become soft, and I'm taking layer by layer and just letting it boil. And then what we're going to do is make our rice mixture, and it just consists of oil, spices, ground beef, and rice, and chopped up garlic. This is a lot of rice due to the fact that I'm making a big family meal, and you're just going to mix it up and rub it in because you don't want to break down that rice with the ground beef. And then what you're going to do next is just start stuffing your cabbages. But before you stuff your cabbage, you have to cut off the stems, which I'll show you in the next part of this video. And your stems, you're going to keep them to put them in your pot later on, so don't throw those out. Or if you like boiled cabbage, you can eat that. So you see I just cut off all those stems. I'm making a pile of all my cabbages. I'm going to roll them vertically, not horizontally. And you don't want to overstuff. Like right here, I showed you guys an example of overstuffing. You don't want to put too much because you have to remember that rice expands. And now I took off the gloves because I just couldn't roll with the gloves on. And ignore my fingernails, they're not dirty. I just was tie-dyeing some stuff. So now I'm putting the stems down in my pot, and I'm gonna chop up some more garlic. Gonna keep them in whole cloves, and I'm just going to layer my malfouf at the bottom of the pan in a circular way, and then I'm gonna stuff some garlic in between each layer, all the way until you get to the middle layer. When you get to the middle layer, you're gonna put a head of garlic in the middle of it, and then you're going to cover it with more malfouf and more garlic. And if you don't want to put that much garlic, it's fine. I just like garlic. So right now I'm using some tomato paste, crushed tomatoes, salt, and water. And this is what I'm going to put in my pot. You'll see that I put in my pot and I have a spatula. This is really important. You have to put something heavy on top of your pot. You have to press the side so the water can come down so it doesn't burn your pot. Here I have more garlic. Yes, this is a lot of garlic, but it's great, trust me. And I'm going to crush it up with some mint leaves and salt. And then I'm going to add the rest of my mint leaves. And then when it starts to boil on your stove, you're going to add this mixture. And that's what I did here. And then you're going to add your lemon juice 20 minutes before this whole meal is done, because you want it to be lemony at the end. And now I'm taking off the weight. This is just the weight that I put so the food doesn't rise. And here it is, 10 out of 10, one of my favorite meals. And like I said, you can go on my Instagram to find the full breakdown because this is a very meticulous recipe, but it's super easy to make.